Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. I hope all of you are having a great day so far. Today I want to share with you 5 awesome and really useful things about the Toronto Public Library that you may or may not know yet. For example, did you know that you could borrow audiobooks for free from the Toronto Public Library? I didn't know until very recently, and the reason is because it's been ages, I don't know how many years since it was the last time that I actively used a public library. And the reason why I really felt that I needed to do that is because lately I've been reading so many books, and I started buying books at Indigo, a bookstore here in Canada, and I felt that it started to really take a toll on my finances because books are quite expensive. So I thought, why not just borrow them for free? Let's get right into it. The first one is flexible pickup and drop-off locations. The Toronto Public Library system has 100 library branches, and the great thing about the fact that there are so many branches is that you can, for example, borrow a book while you're at the library in downtown, but then return the book at a library near your home. So you are very flexible about picking up and returning books, and you are not really attached to a single branch. And if you borrow your books online, you can even choose at which location you want to pick up the book. Let's go on to the next awesome thing, which is the renew function. You can borrow books usually for 21 days and DVDs for 7 days. And usually 21 days would be more than enough to finish one book. But normally what happens is that you don't only borrow one book, but you order multiple books like I do all the time and read them in parallel. So in that case, 21 days, it's not always enough to finish everything. And luckily, we have that renew function in the Toronto Public Library system, which enables us to very easily extend the borrowing period. And now I'm going to quickly show you how you can extend or renew your books. So what you can see here is my account and a summary of all my checkouts. And if you look at the first book, The Wealth and Poverty of Nations, you can see that it will expire on December 9th, which is in a few days. So if I go on to this renew button and click on it, it will renew and extend the borrowing period of my book. But I'm not going to do it now, because if I renew it now, then what it will do is it will count the extension period starting today, and I don't want that. So I will wait until maybe one day before the expiry date and then do the renewal. You can also see here that I renewed the book for 1 time so far, and most books you can renew 2 to 3 times. I think that's depending on whether or not other people are placing hold on that book, whether it's in demand or not, and so on. In the extreme case, it would mean that if you borrowed a book and then renewed it for 3 times, it means that you have 4 borrowing periods of 21 days or 3 weeks each, which gives you a total of 12 weeks. So that means that you could borrow a book for free at the Toronto Public Library and keep it with you in your home for 12 weeks. You have plenty of time to read it, and you don't have to pay a penny for it. If you go to the website of the Toronto Public Library and click on the tab Using Library Renewing Materials, then you can see a complete list of how long you can keep each of the items. The next feature is the hold feature. There are certain books that are highly in demand, but of which the Toronto Public Library only has a limited number of. For example, this book Atomic Habits, I wanted to borrow it, but it was not available. The library has 77 copies, as you can see here, but the supply is largely outnumbered by the demand, by the number of people who want to read it, so it was not available, but I was able to put it on hold. And the great thing, like I already mentioned earlier, is that you can actually choose where you want to pick up the book at. So if, for example, the book is not available at the library near my house, I can still choose for it to be delivered to that library once it becomes available. The next great thing is that you can not only borrow books and DVDs and magazines, but also digital books and audiobooks. And that really came as a surprise to me, or maybe I was just not well informed enough. But I was really happy about this feature. There used to be a time where I used to buy a lot of Kindle books from Amazon, and the reason was because firstly, at that time I was preparing to move to Canada, and I didn't want to have physical books that I had to transport. And in some cases, cases, it's really great to own a Kindle book, especially if you feel like you want to reread the book or keep it as reference. But then there are some other books which maybe you didn't like that much after all, so you just quickly scanned through it and you didn't get that much use out of it. So in that cases, I found it not to be sensible to even spend $15 to $25 on a Kindle book. So when I got to know about this feature where you can borrow audiobooks and digital books from the Toronto Library for free, I was so happy about it because it would save me a lot of money. And borrowing audiobooks and digital books is really very simple. It basically works the same way as borrowing hard copy books. All you have to do is search for the book online, see if it's available or not, and then borrow it. The only additional thing that you need to do is you have to download some apps. So for digital books, you have to download the Adobe Digital Editions application. And for audiobooks, you have to download this application called Overdrive Media. Overall, I found these two very easy to use, no hassle at all. I just found that the Kindle application, which I normally used, was a bit more user-friendly than the Adobe Digital Edition. Moving on to the next thing. It's free and it's super convenient. Having just moved from a country where the library services are nowhere as advanced as here in Canada, in Toronto, I found the fact that anyone here, no matter if their income and their background, has the ability to borrow books for free really awesome, because books are basically knowledge, and knowledge is one of the most important things that you need if you want to make an improvement in your life. Getting a library card is free for residents, and the criteria here is resident, so you do not need to be a citizen or a permanent resident in order to borrow books from the public library. Even if you're a visitor or a non-resident, you can still borrow books from the library, but you will need to pay a fee. And according to the Toronto Public Library website, the fee for non-residents is $30 for 3 months and $120 for 12 months. So in general, the only time where you will have to pay anything is if you get fined. And you will get fined if you return the books that you borrowed late. There is a fine of 35 cents per day and a maximum total fine of $14 per item for each loan period. And you don't want to pay that fine, because if you get to that point, then you might as well just buy the book and own it, right? And the other thing is convenience. I found the process, okay, someone is vacuuming in the hallway. I won't really complain about it. At least someone is taking care of keeping it clean. It is really convenient. I found the experience of getting a library card and borrowing and returning books really, really easy. At first, I must say that I was a bit hesitant to open an account at the library because I reminded myself of the process I had to go through when opening a bank account here in Canada. I opened my bank account at Scotiabank at that time, and I was a bit disappointed that the process took so long. It took me like 1.5 hours or so. But anyway, so getting a library card was super fast. It took me less than 5 minutes, and my experience so far was really awesome and seamless. I also like how easy it is to check out things from the library, pick up books, and return books. So I never had the experience of having to wait in a long queue, because at all the Toronto Public Libraries, they have these self-checkout stations where you can check out the books yourself and also return them. You simply scan your card, you input your PIN, you scan the book, and then you're good to go. Very easy. The biggest advantage of borrowing books for free from the public library, personally for me, is that because they are free, I don't feel like I have to limit myself in reading anything. Before I got a library card, I used to be very careful and selective about buying books because of the fact that they are very expensive, but they also take up a lot of space in your home. But since I had access to the public library, I felt that like whenever I wanted to educate myself on something, read up on something, I had the freedom to borrow multiple books so I could get different perspectives from different sources. Because I personally think that it's really important that if you study something, if you get information about something, you learn about it, you read about it from different kind of sources and not just one. And this is especially important if you're doing research, for example, for your thesis, or you're writing a book and doing the research for it. Also, when you're embarking on something new, for example, you have plans to become an entrepreneur and you want to read up a lot about how you can start a new business, or you want to get into a new career field and change careers, you want to get a lot of information about that new area, that new industry that you want to get into. So in those cases, it really helps if you can have access to a lot of books and information without having to limit yourself. And by borrowing books from the public library, you can avoid spending too much money on books. I hope this video was useful to you and that after this, you might feel inspired to get your own library card. If you enjoyed this video and you want to continue getting videos from me, please do hit the subscribe button and also the little alarm bell so that YouTube will actually notify you when there are new videos from me. Also check out my channel if you're interested in content related to career change and motivation. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to catch you again soon.